I am pleased to bring this bill forward today, House Bill 5002, an act concerning early childhood care and education. I am particularly thrilled to bring this bill forward as a House bipartisan priority for our chamber. We have worked on this bill tirelessly for months now because we do know that too many of our families and businesses in this state are truly struggling to find affordable and accessible childcare. It is so true, I know, for families that we speak with, that every family deserves access to high quality care, and it's really the essential infrastructure that we need for our economy and for our workforce. I also want to recognize that even here in this chamber, I know we hear from colleagues about how difficult it is to find affordable childcare. The cost is simply too high, and the dedicated educators can't afford their own bills, and let alone, depending on where you live in our state, even accessing care can be impossible. So this bill came together as a bipartisan House priority to recognize this urgency that we have in our state to address this very need. Last year, many of you heard and certainly saw the recommendations of the Blue Ribbon Panel on childcare to unveil a strategic plan for our state to address this crisis. This bill substantially addresses many of the learnings of that report and the innovative efforts that we can take on as a state, both in the short term and long term. It features some key solutions that I see as a real bipartisan approach that are innovative, including our dedicated fund for early childhood care and education, a pilot program for one of our highest child care need areas, and a wage supplement program for our dedicated early childhood teachers. I am going to just share briefly each of the sections, and then I welcome questions or comments from my colleagues. So Section 1 renames the fund as the Early Childhood Care and Education Fund. Section 2 establishes the Early Childhood Care and Education Fund Advisory Committee. And this advisory committee is made up of substantial experts, both parents, providers, early childhood educator professionals who are in the work every day, and also several who are part of the Early Childhood Cabinet already run by the Office of Early Childhood. Section 3 establishes a tri-share childcare matching program, and this is a pilot initiative that we've learned from two states, both Michigan and North Carolina, in pursuing the childcare expenses being split by employers, employees, and the state. This directs OEC to select an organization to administer the program and gives a range of guidance on how that program would work. Section 4 establishes a wage supplement program, and this is to provide a one-time payment of at least $1,800, and this would be to qualified teachers and assistant teachers in state-funded school readiness and state-funded child care programs. Section 5 includes one section of an OEC education bill, and this requires the OEC to study an availability of space in state-owned properties that may be used for early childhood care and education programs. And this bill passed out of the Education Committee unanimously. Section 6 includes one section of House Bill 5160 from the Children's Committee. This section requires the Office of Early Childhood to develop a document that informs early childhood providers of the benefits of carrying liability insurance. Section 7 is a section of Senate Bill 152, also unanimously voted out of the Education Committee. This excludes child care providers that exclusively serve school-aged children from a requirement to post those notices concerning children birth to 5. Section 8 was also a part of Senate Bill 152, voted out of the Education Committee unanimously, and this adds children under subsidized guardianship to the protective class for care for kids. Sections 9, 11, and 12 are also from SB 152, voted out of education unanimously, and this requires OEC, the Office of Early Childhood, to adopt policies and procedures to implement the federal Care for Kids regulations and repeal any existing state regulations that don't apply. Section 10 was also a part of Senate Bill 152, education bill passed out unanimously, and this requires our child care providers to allow children to receive birth to 3 services on site. And finally, Section 13 repeals the obsolete language that required OEC, Office of Early Childhood, to report to the General Assembly concerning the Early Childhood Care and Education Fund, because this was resolved in the language earlier in the bill on Section 2. I am excited, again, that we have this comprehensive proposal before us. I look forward to questions and comments from my colleagues, and I move passage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.